This video is on exercise 15-16A. Couple of ratios, actually more than a couple of ratios that you need to know for this problem. Return on equity investment, operating profit times turnover. Turnover is sales divided by operating assets. Operating margin is operating income divided by sales. Residual income, think of that like a margin of safety. That would be operating income minus the desired rate of return. You've probably never seen it abbreviated that way. I think that's just me. I might be the only one in the entire world doing that. Desired rate of return times operating assets. Hopefully you have a little left over, a little safety to cover your desired rate of return. You know, a lot of times the desired rate of return can be just the cost of all your borrowings plus the cost of keeping your stockholders happy. You know, they have an expected rate of return that they want. And that changes the accounting equation. I'm just going to go down this road just really quickly. So we buy our assets by issuing debt or selling bonds, borrowing money, or by selling stock, equity. So these two together pay for assets. So that desired rate of return sometimes can be the cost of capital, the cost of servicing the debt, and also keeping the stockholders happy by delivering them a certain rate of return. Because if they don't think they're getting the rate of return that they want, they'll sell their stock. And if a lot of people sell their stock, then the stock price will go down, correct? So that is a little quick synopsis. This is modifying the accounting equation that you learned earlier. I think liability, or it was an L, not D, and then stockholders' equity. Anyway, so enough of that. Desired rate of return gives you an idea how they calculate that. And you guys might work in companies and you've heard the hurdle rate, you know, covering the cost. Desired rate of return could be covering the cost plus a little extra, or it could be the same as the desired rate of return. All right, so let's look at the problem. I'm going to pull out the solutions again. And before we do, let's look at the book. Let's look at the book. Yeah, let's pull it up. Coming over now. Yeah. These, I wish they were flipped. You know, the exercise was in the larger font size, and then the learning objective was in the smaller font. All right, so we need to calculate return on investment, operating assets, operating income, and residual income. All right, and just think about the ratios as we go through these. And some things are given to us. We're given the turnover ratio. We're given the operating margin, the desired rate of return, and sales. So I think we got enough to calculate. Let's go back over to the solutions and let's look at it together. So we know that the return on investment is the operating margin, okay, times the turnover rate. We're given the operating margin was 0.08, turnover was 2.2, multiplied together, and you get 17.60. Okay, we know the turnover ratio is sales divided by operating assets. All right, and we weren't given operating assets, and we're solving for operating assets. Okay, this is why we're doing it. So it's going to be sales divided by X equals 2.2. Solve for X, and you get 275. So our operating assets are 275, and we need that for an upcoming ratio that we need to calculate. Operating income. Operating income is the margin equals operating income divided by sales. And we don't know operating income, but we do know the margin. We've used it once already to calculate ROI. And we also know sales is the very first number given in that little green table from the book. So 0.08 equals, we don't know, again, like I said, operating income divided by 605. Well, do the math, solve for X, and you get 48.4. And we need both the 48.4 and the 275 for the last part of this problem. So our Operating income is 48.4 minus the desired rate of return was 10%. So 10% times 275 are operating assets. And you do the math and you get 20,900. So that's residual income after our desired rate of return is calculated. And that's it. So back to where we started. See these, your handwriting will be much nicer. I cannot, for the life of me, write on a screen very nicely. A computer screen, we're writing on the monitor. I see people with these Apple iPads, and I've used them, and my handwriting looks great on those. So I don't know. I might. This is a privately owned Surface that I picked up when I was getting my doctorate, because I can write it on documents and underline them, and it saved a ton of money in printing. But when somebody else needs to read it, it's not so good. But anyway, so until I decide to get one, or the university maybe buys me one, I'll just keep on plugging away with this. But this is an example of how you can use your one page to put notes in there. And in case you have a problem like this, then you'll just go and say, okay, I got ROI, I've got turnover, I need to figure out operating profit. That's the ratio I need. So it'll help you quickly if you have a problem like 16A or something similar on your exam. So get all your ratios. You probably have them from the first exam. All right. So anyway, that concludes this video. Take care. I'm not saying the exam ratios from exam 1 or on exam 3. I just realized what I said. I'm just saying you have them already if you want to just copy them over. You might have more than you need that way, or maybe just go through the material for exam 3 and make sure you have the exact ones we cover in the book. Either way is good. The point is, get them in there if you want, unless you memorized them, and that would be awesome too. If you need me, email me.